Okay, amazing. So I'm just going to share my screen and kind of just chat you. Oh, one second. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So let's go ahead and type in something to the search box. So we'll pretend like we are the user searching for your organization, right? So we can type in something like your organization. So we'll just say siblings of murdered siblings. That's right.
Right.
Okay, so type that in and hit enter. So because there are no ads above this search, the siblings of murdered siblings. So this is your organic listing that is listed first. Okay. So generally, let's go on something a little bit more competitive, maybe. Let's just do, not for profit USA. We'll just go really, really, okay. That wasn't a good example. So maybe we'll donate to wildlife conservation or something like this. Okay. So right away, what we can see is there are 1, 2, 3, 4 ads that pop up. And we know that because it says AD and it's bold. So these are actively advertisers paying to show their ads above the organic listing, which starts here because it doesn't have the AD next to it. Okay. So depending on how high up they are on the page is how much they will pay, right? Google is a pay per click platform. So you only pay when someone clicks. So if I were to click on donate this right now, that advertiser would pay for that click, in other words. Okay. So with your grant account, the goal is going to be for you to actively create ads to display above the organic listing on, searches that are relevant to your organization. Okay, so you can do brand advertising where you just do, siblings of murdered siblings. So that would be your brand keyword. So we could create an ad to show up above that organic listing. And it's proven that when you have an ad and an organic listing, it helps the user come to that decision quicker. So it's just giving you more space on the page. And aside from brand, which is everything outside of brand is called generic. So this, for example, donate to wildlife conservation. This doesn't have any brand name in it. So this is generic. Okay, so what are some queries or what is something that a user might type in that would be looking for or be relevant to your charity, do you think?
Homicide survivors.
Yeah, absolutely. So that would be a really good generic keyword that you guys could use because people searching for that will also be interested or maybe interested in looking at your website, having a look at your content. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So you just did keyword research right there in your mind. So very good.
Awesome.
So now that we kind of talked about how it works, I will mention that with your grant account, one of the big, roadblocks that a lot of advertisers do run into is that if any paid advertiser is bidding on that keyword, your grant ad will not show. So you basically have to find keywords where no other paid advertisers are bidding on it, if that makes sense. So these keywords that have little to no competition, like the keyword that you just mentioned, that would be a really good one. But, something like donate to charity or, donate to not-for-profit organization, you're never going to show up on keywords like that because they're just too competitive, right? So you really need to find the keywords that have low competition, but still have a decent amount of people searching for them. That's kind of the sweet spot in search. Okay. All right, so now that I just kind of went through it really quickly, in your Google Ads account, so your grant account, what you'll do is you'll build several different campaigns based on your website. So I'll just, I think I had you up earlier. Okay, so for example, on your site, you really want to build campaigns based on the topics or headings. right? So you might have a campaign on, cold cases, grief support. Now, these can all go in the same campaign. It just kind of depends how much content you have. So I'll just, if there's any, and I think are these coming soon, right? So if you do get some content on this page, then you'll just, obviously choose a few keywords around cold cases, put those in a campaign, and then drive those keywords to this landing page on site, if that makes sense. So that's kind of how it will start to structure in the account.
Okay.
Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
I know I'm throwing a lot of information at you.
No, you're good. You're fine. Doing a great job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Okay. So that's kind of how the ad grant account will look in the back end, right? We'll have campaigns based on the topics that we have on site, right? So a couple tips for success with the grant. So one of the main things that you need to have on site is content. So content, it just could be blog pages, they could be, news articles, if, something you have to mention. So sites with a lot of content always perform the best with the grant, okay? That's not saying if you don't have a lot of content, it's not going to perform well, but just always be in the mode of thinking, how can we produce more content on site that is relevant to our users, if that makes sense. So
Yes.
anytime you decide we're really going to work on that cold case page. So you find a couple keywords that you want to focus on the cold case page, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you write a blog article, let's say, 2,000 words on really good information for people on cold cases. What are they? How can you guys help? And then like why, and just like the who, what, where sort of thing on the blog. And then once you do create that content page, then you can create another campaign in your Google Ads with those keywords to drive to the content.
Gotcha. Now it makes sense. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
It's starting to really click. Okay.
Yeah. Good. Okay. So the goal with your grant is to utilize keywords to drive to content pages. Okay. So that's a bit different to paid search. They're opposite strategies. So try not to get too mixed up in them, but just try to remember with your grant, we're going for top of funnel. So content keywords. Okay. So new users that might not know your brand, people that are just searching for, mental health resources or online healing journal, right? We want to drive them to our website. Once we get them on site, we want them to read the content, love the content, and then we need to tell them what to do next. Okay, so that's a big, I would say a big gap with a lot of organizations is that they have great content, they have a lot of information on the site, but they don't tell the user what to do next, right? So that's a call to action is what it's referred to, is what you want, the action you want the user to take after they read your blog article. So, that might be something where you pop in a, download these 10 tips on mental health resources, or get this checklist on 5 things you should know about cold cases. Okay. And it's some sort of lead magnet. So something you're giving them in exchange for their email address. Okay. So the overarching goal is to always get their email address, right? Because that's something, once you get someone's email, you own that as a person, like you own it. If Google goes down tomorrow, if Facebook goes down tomorrow, you own that email address. So you can continue to email them and, try to sell them or get them to donate without relying on other channels. So that's the main goal, especially with organizations that are really low on budget, is to get as many email addresses as you can, and then get a really killer email marketing strategy. So, get all the email addresses, have them go through MailChimp or whatever platform you may be using, and email them every month, every, 2 months, every 2 weeks, depending on how often you want to, and just, really warm them up into why they should go with your organization. What's so great about your organization, and then you can start sprinkling in that call to action, donate now, or check out the new products we have on the shop, or something like this, right? So the person isn't necessarily going to convert on from the Google ad, right? Because that's not the goal. The goal of the Google ad is to get their email so that we can later convert them in like an email marketing strategy. Or if you want to couple this up with Facebook remarketing, you can also do a small Facebook campaign of everyone that's been to site, right? So you set up the pixel, and then that's that remarketing strategy of all the users that you've driven to site with your Google grant. You can then retarget them with Facebook ads and, you know, just say, this is why we're great, this is why you should go with us, and try to get those donations in that kind of bottom funnel remarketing. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It definitely does.
Okay, I know I went through it so quick. But yeah, another thing I would say is that just make sure that every single page on site has a lot of good chunky content. I know I'm sure that's on your list. It's on everybody's list that owns a website, but try to make sure that you have a lot of great content and that you urge the person to do one thing at the bottom of the page, one call to action per page. So with this, of course, there's 1, 2, 3, about 3 here. So just tell them, just keep it really simple. Say, you know, read this, great. Like what we're doing, like the content that you've read, click here to donate to help us continue writing more content like this. Something really simple and sweet. And I would say, so just try to keep that strategy on any of the content pages. Try to go for 2,000 words, create really good content, and then one call to action at the bottom. So I would just try to be really conscious with heavy photos on the site as well, because that will just slow down the speed. So if I would just say maybe try to keep every page, let's say like 3 or 4 pictures at the very most, just so that they don't slow down the site too much. But I'm sure, is this site fairly new as well? So like, I'm sure you have so much plans to write more content.
Yeah, we have a lot, and I still have so much. I actually meet with the lady that I have 2 people now that help me with the website, and I have to meet with her tomorrow because I have a lot more stuff I need her to add. I wish I could do it myself. It's just there's some things I just can't do. It's just not my thing, you know, and this is not my thing.
Yeah. And I guess like, is your goal to just like have volunteers run it, or are you what is your capacity to do everything?
Well, I'm grassroots, so I'm still like building the foundation for my organization. I have no paid employees as of yet, but I do hope, I would love to do that one day once I have more funding and I'm able to do it. But for now, everything is volunteer based. That's, it's just, it is what it is. But I know with marketing and like doing this, and this is the first grant we've ever been approved for too. So
exciting. Congrats.
Yeah, it's exciting. So this is, I'm learning as I go too. So the sky is the limit in my book.
Yeah, I love that mentality. Very good. How long did it take your grant to get approved, if you don't mind me asking?
Nikki did it, and I think it took about 2 months.
Okay, yeah, that seems about average. I've heard some organizations have been getting approved in like a couple of days, so I was wondering if that applied to you.
Yeah. Oh wow, a couple of days. That's awesome.
I know. Wow. I feel like it's a myth. It's just still a myth until I see it myself. So.
Yeah, I'll have to ask Nikki. I mean, I think it was about a month or 2 months that, I mean, I don't know. COVID has really, my memory, it's like a big blur, because
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So yeah, I guess from a Google Ads standpoint, and like, I'll give you a bit of an idea. So like, organizations heavily rely on the Google grant to get new users to their website. So you're in like a really good stage where you're fresh to this all kind of still. So it's really good that we kind of had this chat, because now like, I want you to be thinking about every page that you're creating creating that really good content, and making sure that you have a call to action, where you're going to get the user's email address, right? So there's like really easy widgets or blocks you can put in on WordPress. I'm not sure what you guys are hosting your site on, but yeah, so it's basically they can click the button, and then like a pop-up will ask them for their email address, and then great, they got the email address. Then you can give them like the downloadable, 5 tips to, whatever that may be, like improving your mental health or something to that matter. And these are just super easy too. Like you can use Canva, just a free account, and they're called infographics, or you can just do a regular PDF, and it can literally just be where you type out 5 tips and then put like little boxes, like check boxes. So it makes it look a bit nicer, and put, a bit of like your logo and stuff to make it look a bit more neat. But yeah, that's really it. Like it's really just you providing like tangible, I say tangible, but it's online, like a tangible value piece to a user in order or exchange for their email address.
Got it. Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Okay, so what, in terms of email marketing, are you guys using like MailChimp or anything at this stage?
We use MailChimp.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Yeah, that'll be good. So you can easily collect everybody's email addresses through MailChimp, and then you can set up the emails as well. So that is quite straightforward. I know a lot of charities do use that because it integrates well with a lot of different programs. And that is pay by size, right? So it's free at first until you get to a certain size?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, cool.
And we have, I think under like 50 so far, because we just started building that. And then we plan on doing a monthly newsletter. Right now it's quarterly, but starting January next year, we want to do it every month.
Yeah.
And start building that.
Yeah, that's really good. And I know like your mind is probably spinning in circles with everything you need to do, but I like how my workflow is that I like to like bulk do things. So I'll set out like, the first Tuesday of the month, I'll sit down and write like 5 emails or like 5 blogs, and then just like bulk do things like one day. So you just power through it, and it's like not on your mind, but then you have everything set up and ready to go. I don't know how you like to work, but I'm a solopreneur as well. So my mind goes like 3 million ways all the time.
Yeah, me too.
Amazing. Okay. Well, we have about 5 minutes. Do you have any more questions? I'll let you know how I can help you with the grant. But yeah, what questions can I answer from you?
That's what I actually was going to ask, is how could you help us? Like what would well, I don't know. You tell me. You're the expert. I'm just here enjoying the show.
Yeah.
But my goals are, I mean, I definitely, I know there's a lot more of us out there as sibling survivors and other, individuals that have been impacted by violent, homicide. So I have no idea how to find them. Other than what they explained to me is like whenever there's a shooting that happens in, let's say, Texas, and people are Googling that, there's somehow our organization can pop up for them to click on for support. Someone's explained to me before, but that is your realm. So
yeah, no, that's exactly it. You said, people are out there, but you don't know how to find them. So that's the power of Google Ads in everything it is. So because when someone is typing in, the keyword that you mentioned earlier, or someone perhaps like they're in this stage where they're a sibling or murdered sibling, but it's like really fresh for them, and they're just looking for like, a crew of people that can help them get through it, then that's exactly where you guys will come into play, right? So, perhaps someone types in, like grief, or like help with grieving for a, sibling, or like murdered sibling or something. I know I'm like really butchering this right now. But just someone who's looking for someone who's a bit younger than you is what I always like to explain. Like someone who is maybe a year back or 2 years back, or someone that is in your shoes, but doesn't really have the coping mechanisms or the resources or the tools that you have. So that's where you find the keywords based on what somebody would be typing in that would be interested in your product or service, right? So that's exactly where you can start sprinkling in your ads, right? But I would say that I'm not 100% sure about siblings and murdered siblings, the brand keyword. I'm not sure if Google would allow it. I would have to do a bit of research in, just because I've never tried to include murder in an ad. I think they might get a bit tricky with that. I know for sure that you can't, like, you couldn't advertise on like keywords that are like about shootings or anything like that. They're pretty strict with that. So like if there was like a shooting in Texas and somebody typed in like, you know, Texas shooting, you couldn't advertise on that because they're really strict with their policies. But that's where you'd have to get a bit creative with it. Right. So you'd have to be finding, I like to tell people like adjacent keywords. So where you're not necessarily typing in like your keyword will be, but not necessarily, you won't be like, a lot of people won't be typing in siblings of murdered siblings, right? So how can we find them? Like, what are some adjacent topics that someone might be typing in that are going through this problem? You know, and you're probably better at that than me, but you know, what other things might they be looking for? What other products or services might they be using? You know, what other things will they be looking for? So I would definitely say you cannot advertise on the shooting example. I'm gonna go ahead and say no, Google won't like that, but you'll have to, very similar strategy, right? Just people that are in market or looking for you guys, or, you know, potentially don't know they're looking for you yet, which is that kind of education piece.
Makes sense. Okay. Yeah, makes. I never thought of the word murder in Google. I think it's just that's our, you know, where we come from. That's our trauma bond as siblings, that, you know, we support each other. So
yeah. So I totally get it, but I don't think Google will. Full disclosure.
Yeah, and that's totally understandable. I'm glad that they do have, actually, it's kind of comforting to know that they do have policies. That I appreciate that, actually, even though it might make it a little bit harder to find the other survivors, but there's definitely other words we can use, like I think VIP, they call it a violence impacted person. There's that, and then there's other terms. There are definitely other terms.
Yeah, that's a really good one. What is it? What'd you say? Violence
impacted person. It's VIP. That's a new one I just learned too after this restorative justice training I took. The felicitator explained that there is a term for it. It's a violence impacted person.
Yeah, okay. And it doesn't look like there's any competition at all. There's no advertisement. So this would be a really good.
It's violence. Yeah, it's the word spelt wrong. It's violence.
Oh.
Person. It's okay.
Violence affected, this one?
It's VIOLENCE. It's okay. VIO.
Sorry, go again.
Violence. VIOLENCE. And then it's impacted. That affected too, but impacted person.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't look like there's that much competition here. So I definitely think there would be a lot of opportunity for you guys to present some really good content, some really great content for users. I just turned on a keyword tool that I have. So I'll refresh this. And then this will hopefully give us some more options. So there's some related keywords here, you know, effects of violence on individuals. How can violence affect the relationship? All these violence impacted person, and effects of violence on individuals. Like, all these probably maybe aren't as relevant to your cause, but you can, I see how you go from one thing to really getting further and further and more specific to your cause. Okay, so that's a good one. All right, so let's just wrap up. Sorry, we went a little bit over.
That's
Here
fine.
are the packages that I have. So you guys already have your grant, so that's not relevant. But so these are the two options that are relevant to you. So this is the coaching program that I have on offer right now. It's Ad Grant one-on-one sessions. So this includes 5 1-hour one-on-one sessions with me. So we'll look at your grant, look at your website, put together a plan, and then determine all of the things that we need in order to get to that success factor for you. And with this, you'll get, weekly planners, you'll get access to the Ad Grant course. So this Ad Grant Accelerator course over here, you get lifetime access to that, which is 10 hours of training, over 20 checklists and templates. It tells you how to do optimizations and so forth. So what a lot of people like to do is use this course as kind of like a training manual for volunteers or new people that you hire. So with the coaching program, you'll get access to the course and you can kind of, keep this internally with your organization to use to train other people as they start. So I chatted about the video trainings and then a not-for-profit community. So you'll be able to join the community that I'm building as well. So this is what I have on offer. What I would say, and like I more care about your success, right, than anything. Like I take on projects like they're my own. I'm like a bit of a freak in that sense. So I would say that you're not quite ready for this yet. What I would say is I would recommend getting, shoot for 10 content pages on your site. And then let's get together and let's build your account. So obviously, if you want to get your account built right now, we can do it together, but you're going to get more out of it if you've got at least, 5 to 10 heavy content pages, because then, you're just going to get a lot more success. So what do you think about that after I chatted you through it?
No, it's awesome. It's great advice. Definitely needed to hear this because I know this is something I haven't focused on in I think 2 months now, but I need to because we are growing. And we actually have to, we're going to have a lot of exposure in December and I need to be prepared for that on our website. So
Yeah.
you. My other question, with this grant, am I able to pay you through the grant? Is that a possibility?
Oh my gosh, like everyone asked that. Hey, no, so
I
you
don't
can't,
know. I mean, it'd be
pay
cool.
me. Like it's basically like monopoly money with Google. So it's not like real money, but like of course I know you're just dipping your toes in grants, but I generally get paid by other grants, by other advertising grants. So there are a lot of other options in that space that you might want to look into as well, because I generally find that most of the time the organization will pay me with grant money that they've received.
So if you can show me the way, I will have my board member who's been applying. She does the grants. If I come across any grants, I send it to her and she does the work for me. So
yeah.
If you have any resources, I would love to pass it along, see what happens. And in the meantime, I will work on more content, which again, I was planning on tomorrow. So it's kind of good timing for that because we don't have enough content and I realize that we need a lot more. So
well, okay, so can I recommend it's so easy to get content. It's easier than you think. So I always do voice to text. So if you're if you're driving in your car or if you're walking to the shops, just start talking and that's easy. Voice to text to create blogs. Also, I found really good success in asking the community. You can, say something like, looking for, 10 people to write great content on X. Would really love to know your experience in, mental health for, something, obviously match it up to your page. So you can say, looking for an individual that can write about mental health, that's gone through it, and can provide recommendations or advice to other people. And you can actively get people to write content for you for free, which is like super powerful because it starts to catch on a bit. Like once you get a few people to write for you, other people in the Facebook group will be like, oh, like I want to write for you too. Like I feel like I want to get involved as well. So if you can start to kind of like plant the seed for your people to write content, that's really powerful as well. And like, let's be honest, like content of people, like actual real people who've been through it is so, so rare. So that's like the best type of content anyways.
Right. No, you're right. I agree. Okay. Awesome.
All right. Okay. Well, I know we went through so much, but yeah, I would just try to focus on getting, like 5 to 10 content pieces together on the site, whatever way you can kind of muster those together, and then maybe shoot me an email and we can go through, just a few sessions or whatever your budget allows for. Yeah, I think that'd be a good plan.
Awesome. Yes. No, I appreciate your time and thank you. You gave me a sense of direction of the possibilities because again, I don't know. I didn't know. So thank you.
Oh my gosh, that makes me so happy. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop